Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Ioli, and thank you for joining me. And my guest today is a guy that I thought at one point was bound to be a UFC champion. He still may be. It's been a while since you've seen this handsome face in the cage. My friend Chad Mendes. How are you, Chad?
Good, man. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a long time since we've seen you in there on Saturday in Boise, Idaho. A great place to go hunting and fishing, and I know you know all about that.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to fight number 12 ranked Myles Jury. Let's start with this. Everybody knows that you've been on a PED suspension for the last couple of years. How is that going to affect you coming back, being off? You know, your last fight was against Frankie Edgar in 2015, basically 2.5 years away from MMA. Does that to you good or bad?
Um, I'd like to think it's been good, man. I mean, I've been going nonstop from 5 years old all the way up through till the suspension. I've never ever taken a year off. Started wrestling at 5, all the way through college, graduated. The next day, I moved to Sacramento and jumped right into pro training with all these guys at Team Alpha Male. And 3 months later, I had my first pro fight. So, I'd never ever taken a break. And, my body right there at the end was starting to feel it. That was
Right.
three hard fights I fought that year. Two of them obviously didn't go my way, and both rung my bell a bit. So, ultimately I had already told the UFC I wanted to take a year off and just let my head heal, let my body heal, hopefully get that hunger back. Because honestly, it was me kind of just going through the motions right there at the end, and for me it was just wanting to have that hunger back more than anything. I mean, obviously keeping my head straight and healthy and being able to, have a family later down the road when I'm, done with fighting and still be healthy and have the time to spend with them. And, that's something I wanted. So the time off, all in all, I think was good, not getting punched for
Yeah.
a while and letting my head heal up. And, all the bumps and bruises that I've had for years are feeling back like great. And, I know my feet, especially from throwing kicks over and over again from the last, 10 years, my toes, my feet, everything are always just aching. You get up in the morning, you can't walk on your feet for a while. You got to warm them up, and like they're back to normal. It's great. And like,
You feel like a real human being now.
yeah, I feel normal. So it's good, man. It's given me that drive back, the ability to get back in there and push with all these Team Alpha Male guys, go hard again. Like I said, have that hunger is something I think is going to be key for me.
The Team Alpha Male guys, have won titles and done a lot of good things in your absence from the sport. You almost won the title, and I wonder. Let's start with your fight with Conor McGregor. You came that close. I was sitting there ringside that night, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, Chad Mendes is going to be the champion of the world." You had that title in your hands, and it got away from you. How often have you laid in bed or sat there just on the back porch drinking a beer and gone back to that night in July of 2015 and kind of replayed the final minutes of that fight in your mind?
A few times, but not a ton. Most of the time I think about it when someone brings it up and we start talking about it. I do a lot of, the autograph signings or appearances or something like that. And, I get tons of fans, that bring it up and, man, you were so close. And it sucks being that guy, the so close guy.
Right.
Was right there. But, it's just, it's something that I knew was a possibility. Taking a fight like that on 10 days notice was, it's, you just don't have time to prepare for it, mentally or physically. But anything could happen in this sport, and who knows, I could have went out there and knocked him out with the first punch. So, it was definitely something I wasn't going to turn down, and, especially cause it's for a belt.
Right.
And just getting in there and saying, it was cool getting to say I fought a guy like Conor, who's grown to be such a name in the sport. That's something that's cool. Being able to walk out with Aaron Lewis performing my walkout song right above me, in the
Yeah.
crowd. I'm like, what's up? That's something cool. That's something that down the road I have to tell my kids and something they can be proud of. So, it sucks I lost the fight, but it's all part of the sport, and I honestly, obviously would like to have that fight back on a full training camp because I know I would win, but it's not anything I'm ashamed of.
You are 17-4 going into this fight, and you've lost to three guys: Aldo twice, Conor McGregor, and of course Frankie Edgar, all of whom were UFC champions. And I think in the case, especially of McGregor and Aldo, greatest fighter of all time competition. They're in that. So obviously, an average fighter or a very good fighter is not beating Chad Mendes. It's the superstars that are beating Chad Mendes. Now, there's been guys like that throughout history. What do you have to do to not be one of them and to be able to get over the top and get that win and get the belt around your waist and finally get to the level where the superstars in this sport ultimately get?
Man, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, I really think I just need to keep doing what I've been doing, keep training hard. I've implemented some more, different types of scientific training regimens into my training camp, doing a lot of, testing and stuff before camp, figuring out what my strengths and weaknesses are, and then using those tests to develop my camp and really work on making my weaknesses more of a strength and then the strengths even stronger. That's something that we've really implemented in this training camp. And it's something we've never done before. I've always just, balls to the wall. I'm going to train 2-3 times a day, every single day until the fight comes, and there wasn't any system to it. So I think having a system and implementing that into this camp honestly, this is the best I've ever felt fight week. My weight's on point, and this was actually the heaviest I've ever been in my life before this. So
what would you get up to?
I hit 170. I've never seen those numbers. So
I haven't seen them in about 25 years, but there we go.
So yeah, man. For me, it was I've really fine tuned my diet a little bit more, where I've never really focused on that. It just kind of like cut like I used to cut in wrestling, and it was basically all water weight right at the end, and there's no dieting leading up to it. So I think there's just a few things that I've kind of fine tuned that are leading to me feeling a lot better. So.
Let me ask you this. I mean, I wonder, you're a big barrel chested kind of guy, and I wonder if you felt like maybe when you got away that your flexibility with your arms and stuff with the striking wasn't good enough. And have you done anything with that? I mean, are you going to be as muscular as you were before?
Man, I don't know. I think so, but maybe not. I've tried doing like before I started this camp. So my aerobic capacity was something that I wanted to increase and make a little bit better. I've always been a very explosive, powerful athlete, and so I wanted to be able to increase the cardio part of it. Obviously, like being able to keep that explosivity throughout the entire fight the exact same. So I did an 8-week aerobic block before I even started my 8-week.
Oh wow!
So I did a lot of it was a lot of long cycling, trips, long runs. Stuff like that. So I think that kind of helped lean me out a little bit. I'm hoping. I felt like I said, my weight was the highest it's ever been, but I felt like throughout this camp I've leaned out a little bit more. So I'm hoping that helps, and maybe that is one of the reasons why I'm feeling a little better. But I've always been a little short, stocky guy, and that's probably how I'll always be. I think that's just from many years of wrestling and just how my body's developed years. But we'll see. I think all in all, I'm feeling good though. I feel explosive and powerful. I'm still not very flexible. I've never really been a flexible type of guy, and I don't know.
Not going to be a gymnast, eh?
My strength and conditioning coach is always on me to do more flexibility type stuff and stretching. Right. I do it, but it doesn't seem to help much. So I don't.
I hear you on that one. Well, hey, look, let's address the elephant in the room. Of course, you've been away because of the PED suspension. You got suspended shortly after the program began. How did this happen? I mean, you're a smart guy. You're in a great camp. I know your camp isn't infested with PEDs. How did this happen? And what, I know you took ownership of it. What was the mistake that you made?
Ultimately it was my own fault. So I have plaque psoriasis all over my body. And I don't know if you know what that is. It's basically these really thick patches of dead, dry skin that develop. I have it all over my shins. I get it on my knees. My entire back of my scalp is covered in it. I get it on my ears, my elbows. And it's something that's just there. I've had it since I was a little kid. It's not really anything that like comes and goes. For me, at least, it's there 24/7, like all the time. And there's certain times where it's a lot more dry and itchy. Sometimes I scratch it till it bleeds, and my wife.
Is it tough to sleep in, like when you have it?
Sometimes. I'm sure, and my wife tells me I scratch a lot in my sleep, like my head itches, and I'm just sitting there scratching it. But it's something I've just had to deal with my whole life. But from when I can remember, I've always had people like, oh, what is that? Like, is that poison oak? And I'll be like, no, it's psoriasis. Oh, I've had eczema. You got to try this cream or, this ointment or this oil. I use it on mine and it works great. And I've been told that my entire life,
Right.
as a kid, people would give my dad stuff like, oh, have him try this, wash with this in the shower, and never thought about even like crossed my mind about anything being performance enhancing and any of that type of stuff. And that's kind of basically what happened. Someone said, hey, I have this cream. It worked great on my psoriasis. Give it a try. My own damn fault. I didn't look and didn't think about anything in it being a performance enhancer. Apparently there was a peptide in it that was on their banned list that, if taken with other anabolics, I did some research on it after. And I guess if it's taken with other anabolics can be like a booster for them. But, ultimately it's my own damn fault. I should have looked and paid attention. I didn't. And that's why I didn't fight the sentence. I just said, look, it's, I'm going to own up. I did it. Like, it was not intentional. Like, I had no fights planned. I wasn't planning on fighting. I had already told everyone I was taking that year off. And, it is what it is. But
I want to ask you this, Chad. Then let's talk. And fighters, it follows you, right? John Jones is getting it. In the light of Cormier's victory, people are talking about John, and they don't let it go. There's people that commit crimes. I think of Bernard Hopkins. The boxer. He served for strong arm robbery. And he came
yeah.
out and he served a sentence, and he went on to have a Hall of Fame legendary career. Seems like people look aside a crime that somebody may committed if they serve prison time. You served your suspension, you admitted it, and yet, are you afraid this is going to dog you as you go? As each time you fight, people are going to say, "Well, there's the guy that was the drug user." I mean, is that a concern of yours at all?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I think the people that really know me and know who I am understand the situation.
Right.
And those are really ultimately the people that I care about the most and care about what they think. So,
Right.
No matter what I say or what I do, there's going to be the asshole fans that just want to talk crap, and
Right.
they're going to comments and, they just have crappy lives themselves, I guess, and just feel like they need to say something to make themselves feel better. So, no matter what I do, what I say, there's always going to be those types of people. So it is what it is. But, I'm hoping that this isn't something that completely tarnishes my career forever. I mean, it's something that's embarrassing. It's something I'm
Right.
embarrassed about. Like, I don't want to be known as that type of guy, but, it happened. And, in my mind, I try to think of it as a blessing in disguise. I was able to start a successful business that I've been running the last 2 years and really, really enjoy doing. And
Tell us a little bit about it real quick.
it's called Fins and Feathers. Basically what it is, it's a celebrity outdoor adventure company. So we put together different hunting and fishing trips all over the world. And then we have different celebrity pro staff members, a lot of different fighters, like different, we have some actors, different baseball, basketball, football players, type thing. And we basically send those on the trips with the clients. So
Nice.
they get to go on a cool hunting or fishing trip and then also, get to do it side by side with one of these athletes or an actor or, whatever it is. So it's just something unique and different that nobody was really doing in the space. And we launched it, me and a close buddy of mine, back in 2015, and it's been great.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, good luck with that. Let's talk about your comeback fight. We haven't mentioned Myles Jury too much. Number 12 ranked in the division. Really good fighter. How do you come back and fight a guy at that high of a level after having not been in the cage for 2.5 years? I mean, that's asking a lot of you. What's the big challenge you face with him?
I mean, I honestly think I match up great with Myles. He's obviously a bigger dude. He's cutting down from 55s, but he's a guy that he's a counter striker. He's a guy that kind of sits and waits and looks to capitalize on things. I got guys like, Cody No Love is a great counter striker and fast as hell. And being able to train with guys like that with that speed, and then also going with guys like Andre Feely who are counter striker but long like Myles. Yeah, it's been huge through my camp. Another thing, we have Rick Glenn on this card, actually, who's fighting as well. So we got to train this entire camp together, and he just fought Myles. So, being able to pick his brain on what he thinks Myles, where his strengths, his weaknesses are, that's definitely something we talked about and went over and implemented into the game plan for this camp. But, Myles is a tough dude. And, I think if I go out there and I can perform like I know I can, I beat him. So I just have to stick to the game plan, focus on what we've trained on this entire camp, and get out there and do it.
Last thing, what would it mean to you to win a title after everything you've been through? If you were able to come back and get back to the top of the mountain and have Dana White put that belt around your waist, would it mean more to you because of the journey you've been on?
Of course, that would. I mean, that's icing on the cake. I mean, this whole journey is awesome. I mean, for me, being able to do something that I love and make money doing it, both in the outdoor world and competing as an athlete, like that's ideal for me. Being able to make a title run and get after that belt, and if I win the belt, would be, like I said, just icing on the cake. This whole journey is something that has been great for me. And so far, I mean, everything leading up to this point, other than probably the suspension, has been, just amazing. So, hopefully just keep moving in the right direction and keep putting in the hard work and positive things keep happening. So we'll see.
Awesome. Chad, appreciate you very much. Wish you best of luck on Saturday against Myles Jury. All the best in your career.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's good seeing you again.
Good to see you, brother.